Knack, knack. Who's there? Yeah, I'd rather not share that with you. Hey, no sweat. Come on in. Make yourself at home and take anything you want. Wait, you wouldn't let a stranger in your house. Why would you let anonymous traffic scrape your website? Introducing IPinfo's Privacy Detection API, a fast and simple way to detect malicious traffic. Activate your free trial today at ipinfo.io, and don't forget to use the promo code CODESTORY at checkout.
MVP -1, kind of the pre-MVP, was actually building a lot of, how we operated in Google spreadsheets. We had some of the most complicated Google spreadsheets you've ever seen, because it was really about, how do we organize this? How do we manage, this unique business model? Hungry has faced some huge challenges. If you think about, again, as a core business, a platform of office and event catering, March 2020 was a really scary time. COVID hit, suddenly nobody's in the office, nobody wants to do, live events. We saw millions of dollars of sales evaporate overnight. And, it was gut check time for the company and for our team. My name is Jeff Grass. I'm co-founder and CEO of Hungry.
This is Code Story, the podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries who share in the critical moments of what it takes to change an industry and build and lead a team that has your back. I'm your host, Noah Lappart, and today how Jeff Grass created the nation's best way to cater food for your business from top local chefs. All this and more on Code Story. Jeff Grass had his career start more traditionally as a bond underwriter, graduating from Wharton and then being a serial entrepreneur. Outside of his business ventures, he's married with 2 kids and used to run marathons, including one into Athens with his bare feet. When he's not running, he's spending time with his kids and doing their activities. Jeff's current venture started out as a tech-enabled platform for office and event catering, which connected their users to incredible chef entrepreneurs. Fast forward, they are now a national platform for top chef-made food production and delivery services that includes much, much more. This is the creation story of Hungry.
Hungry is a platform designed to connect companies with top local chefs and restaurants to provide a suite of amazing food solutions. So think office catering, snacks, events, things like that. What makes us unique is that we primarily partner with top local chefs that cook out of incubator kitchens, ghost kitchens. So it gives us a way to work with some of the most talented chefs in a given city. So you get very, very high food quality. We have hundreds of chefs on the platform, so there's tremendous variety. But cooking out of ghost kitchens gives us a significant economic advantage versus sourcing food from a restaurant, or a traditional caterer. So it allows us to provide very high quality and affordable price, also to own the delivery and the service. So it's our team, transporting the food from the chef's kitchen to the office and then doing all of the, providing a VIP level of service.
Tell me about the MVP. So that first version of the product you built, how long did it take to build? And what sort of tools did you use to bring it to life?
Well, Hungry relies a tremendous amount on technology to run our business model. It is very unique in this industry. It has a lot of structural advantages. It gives us, as I mentioned, a lower cost structure by owning the delivery and the service, allows us to make it ultra reliable, provide a VIP level of service. And so these are key factors that our clients really value a lot. The challenge of our model is that we're working with chefs and restaurants all over a given city. And so how do you coordinate and manage the communications with hundreds of different chefs and restaurants to serve hundreds of clients all across a given market? And so technology plays a critical role to allow us to run the business in a very reliable, very scalable, very cost-efficient way. Our MVP -1, kind of the pre-MVP, was actually building a lot of, how we operated in Google spreadsheets. We had some of the most complicated Google spreadsheets you've ever seen, because it was really about, how do we organize this? How do we manage, this unique business model that we thought and we knew would have, huge advantages, but, just trying to figure it out allowed us to iterate super, super fast. And as we started to do that, we then, began to build the technology platform. Our initial build, really took us about a year and a half to build, kind of the initial core elements of what we call the Hungry operating system, or Hungry OS for short. from a technology perspective, we used a React front end. We used Ruby on Rails primarily, on the back end, and it was a SQL database. So just, kind of a typical startup, fairly low cost, and just trying to get going quick.
With any MVP, you got to make certain decisions and trade-offs, right? And I could probably, cherry pick a few things out of what you said, but tell me about those decisions and trade-offs you had to make around, feature cut or tech debt, acceptance, or anything like that, and how you coped with those decisions.
The priority was definitely on, getting ourselves to market quickly. We're big believers in let's not overthink, let's get something, fast into the market that allows us to get, very quick, feedback and see kind of what works and what doesn't. I think that's one of the real advantages that we have here at Hungry is we tend to not spend a lot of time, debating in conference rooms, what to do next. We tend to try to go forward quickly, but it's with an eye towards, something fast and simple that allows us to start learning because, we know we're going to, learn a lot more with live customer reaction than without. Our whole focus in the first 2 years was proving out, this business model, using technology to allow us to do that in a scalable way, and also with an eye towards, building in a way that will allow us to replicate this in other cities across the country. So those were some of the key must-haves as we were building it, and then it was, obviously, how do you make sort of those tough decisions around, which piece of functionality first versus second, and so we prioritized things that help support our operations because that was the most complex. And then some of the more, client-facing pieces as well. We formed an advisory board of early clients also so we really tried to be very, customer-led and having them guide us as to, what they needed most and what were their priorities and how do we, define an interface that really works well for them.
This episode is sponsored by Vanta. You're a startup founder. Finding product market fit is probably your number one priority. But to land bigger customers, you also need security compliance. And obtaining your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 certification can open those big doors. But they take time and energy pulling you away from building and shipping. And that's where Vanta comes in. Vanta is the all-in-one compliance solution helping startups like yours get audit ready and build a strong security foundation quickly and painlessly. How, you ask? Vanta automates the manual security tasks that slow you down, helping you streamline your audit. And the platform connects you with trusted VCSOs to build your program, auditors to get you through audits quickly, and a marketplace for essentials like pen testing. Join over 8,000 companies, including many Y Combinator and Techstars startups who trust Vanta. Simplify compliance and get $1,000 off at vanta.com/codestory. That's VANTA.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Kinsta. Between juggling client meetings, managing your website, and keeping up with everyday tasks, who has the time to stress out about website security? Well, with Kinsta, the technical stuff is taken care of, so you can focus on what you do best. Kinsta provides managed hosting for WordPress, offering lightning-fast load times, top-tier security, and unmatched human-only customer support. Whether you're a business owner, web developer, or running a digital agency, Kinsta makes managing your website easy and efficient. Kinsta provides enterprise-grade security, being one of the few hosting providers for WordPress with SOC 2 and other certifications, guaranteeing the highest level of security for your website. Thanks to their unlimited free expert-led migrations, Kinsta ensures a smooth transition for you from other hosting providers. Customers have reported 200% faster load times post-migration to their platform. What I find cool about Kinsta is their fast and reliable customer service and premium features that are included at no extra cost. Ready to experience Kinsta's hosting for yourself? Get your first month free when you sign up at kinsta.com today. That's KINSTA.com. From that point, you've got the MVP and it's working. How did you progress the product from there? How have you matured it? And I think to kind of wrap that in a box, what I'm looking for is how did you go about building your roadmap and deciding, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address with Hungry?
We've built Hungry's operating system, our tech platform, in a very modular way. So there's different core, modules, one that focuses on the chefs and our interactions with chefs, right? It started very basic, simple online interface, using emails to communicate. Today it leverages mobile apps, there's texts, there's all kinds of different ways that we stay in close contact and coordination with our chefs. There's a module for our clients, how do we interface with them publicly? Also provide them their own sort of client interface. There's a module for our services team. We do real-time tracking, so we know where they are. There's 6 different check-ins along the way that makes us more reliable. There's a mobile app that they leverage as well, that helps us, ensure a high level of service and quality. There's a module for our sales team. There's different kind of engines that all kind of go together. So we've tried to build this out, in ways that support the different functional components of the business, but also make sure you're building it, with an eye towards how it all works, well together also. And so that's, some of the tricky parts, right? Making sure, each has its own sort of specific application, but it all, ultimately, works as one, comprehensive system.
Okay, let's switch to team then. So how did you go about building your team? And specifically, what did you look for in those people to indicate that they were the winning horses to join you?
I'm admittedly not, super technical. I don't know how to code. I'm more of a founder that has more on the business side and then the technical side. My co-founder, Shai Palavani, is much more sort of product oriented. So again, not super technical, but he oversees our product and technology organization on a day-to-day basis. In the early days, we had limited funding. We were still trying to prove concept. So we started with a small team of pretty young, very smart and talented, developers and programmers. Really, I think got lucky in that, the early team, was incredibly dedicated and very fast and nimble and kind of, really adopted that mindset of let's go quick, let's ship product, let's get feedback, let's iterate. And that, kind of mindset, I think, has permeated ever since.
Okay, let's talk about scalability, right? And scalability could be technology, could be team, could be both. But was this designed and built to scale from day one, or have you been sort of fighting this as you grow and gain traction?
I think anytime you're building that MVP, you try not to totally, mess up with regards to scalability, but you inevitably run into those challenges, right? The things, Ruby on Rails just wasn't, sort of fast enough. There were certain elements of tech choices that we made early on that as the business progressed, as we started to see a lot more volume flowing through our system, as we've now grown from, operating in one city to 14 major cities across the country, we really needed to sort of progress the technology. And so we shifted a couple years ago to more of a microservices design pattern, using this microservices architecture that gave us more flexibility. We've evolved the tech stack. We still use a React and a lot of React Native on the front end and our mobile apps, but have shifted the database to more of Mongo, a little bit of graph databases as well. So things that are helping us manage the scale and the complexity of the system in a more efficient way. There is some tech debt there, right? You've got to kind of slowly sort of retire old pieces of functionality as we build on the newer technology. And so that's kind of an ongoing, effort for us behind the scenes, but it helps us, address some of those scalability challenges. From a team perspective, we have invested a lot over the last, I'd say, 12 to 18 months in building out a lot more mid-level management across the organization to help support our ability to scale the business. Hungary is growing at an exponential rate right now. We have very much invested aggressively into the return to office, as again, our core business is office catering, office food, events. And so this has been a year of people starting to return to the office. And with that, companies using food to encourage people to come back and to make it a great place to be. The kinds of investments we've been making are in things like training and other kind of functions that support the organization, HR, accounting, revenue operations, things like that. In our technology organization, I'd say we have built out a much more robust product team and have been able to over time create more specialization, QA function, versus the developer function, things like that. So things you normally see as you go from true startup phase where developers are doing it all to having a little bit more of a traditional structure.
Well, as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built. What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of honestly, the team that we've assembled. We're an organization that really is very purpose driven. We focus a lot on team and culture and environment. We invest a lot in trying to help grow our people, both personally and professionally. Really trying to provide a culture and environment where people are excited to jump out of bed and come to work every day. Hungry has faced some huge challenges. If you think about, again, as a core business, a platform of office and event catering, March 2020 was a really scary time. COVID hit, suddenly nobody's in the office, nobody wants to do, live events. We saw millions of dollars of sales evaporate overnight. And, it was gut check time for the company and for our team. Unlike most other companies in our space that just fired and furloughed, most of their staff, we really, wanted to try to hold on to the people that we had, keep the team together. And so we decided to try to innovate our way through it. And what came of that was we started to rapidly roll out a series of new business lines, service lines that leverage the capabilities that we created, this technology platform, the operational capabilities, the chef network. And it was remarkable. We had people, performing superhuman feats, left and right. We had our technology team launch an entirely new product line of something we'd never, planned to do before in like a 2-week period. So it was, lots of late nights and fast sprints. Within 6 months, we turned the business profitable with revenue from service lines we'd never, started to work on, pre-pandemic and ended up tripling the size of the business, during COVID. So I'd say that's, what I'm most proud of is just, how the team responded and it really helped keep everybody together, helped keep the company going forward and is really setting us up for huge success, as return to office really starts to take shape and build momentum.
That's amazing. Great story. Well, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
The first thing that comes to mind is from a technology choices perspective. As I mentioned, we started to rapidly roll out some new services when the pandemic hit. One of which was we took a lot of the technology and the operational capabilities we had created in support of our catering business and started to use it to help provide last mile food delivery services. And this started in New York City, actually, where we began by delivering a couple hundred meals a day to low-income seniors in the Bronx that could no longer go to local community centers, for meals. That quickly, took off and was very successful. Within a couple months, we were delivering 1.5 million meals a month across all 5 boroughs. So, just the scale of it at that just really started to go crazy. Our tech team, really wanted to help support that. We had a lot of needs around, how do we route optimize in the best way possible? How do we support it? And so they set out to try to build a very robust set of technology that was different than what we had built for catering. Catering worked, up to a level, but there was sort of a whole nother level above that to do these very large, contracts. And I'd say, we quickly learned that, what we were trying to achieve was just more than what we were really, ready for. We actually, I'd say, got a lot of the technical, like the hard technical components right in terms of route optimization, but the UI, UX piece, how that works with dispatchers and things was something that, was also a non-trivial engineering feat and something we really struggled with. So we ended up really bifurcating, kind of leveraging our technology platform up to a certain point, and then partnering with another company called WorkWave that really, had a much more robust technology stack to kind of support it. So I'd say, trying to sort of build it internal versus take a very honest assessment as to, what are outside applications we could leverage instead was kind of a key technical choice that we made that I wish we had probably thought through a little bit more in retrospect. The other thing that I think we probably in retrospect took too long to really invest in was our product team. For a long time, it was primarily business people talking to developers And the developers were the ones trying to sort of translate and be the product interface, right? And so again, early stage technology company, that's not uncommon. But I think you start to realize as the system gets bigger and more complex, the demands on the development team increase, how important the role of product is in terms of understanding kind of the needs of clients in the business, really thinking them through carefully, translating them. And as we've done that and built, a really, rock star product organization, it's helped us, rapidly accelerate, the speed with which our development team is able to, ship new product. I'd say that's also a lesson learned in terms of wouldn't wait quite so long to invest in product.
Well, this will be fun to ask. What's the future look like for the product and for your team?
Where we are today is Hungry has rapidly expanded. Really we've grown quite quickly throughout the company's life, but we're at a very exciting inflection point with the return to office. As Americans have gotten more comfortable kind of coexisting with COVID, companies are definitely starting to move, to try to get more of their teams back together in person again. It hasn't been, I'd say, the avalanche, that we thought it was going to be, but there's a very, persistent, sustained, movement, that back to office. And finding ways to encourage team members to come back has been a challenge for companies. You can either try to browbeat them, or you can try to lure them back with things and food and drinks and snacks. We've companies have found is one of the most cost-effective ways to do that. It's amazing how influential a free lunch can be. But we're really excited because we're still at relatively modest levels of return to office, right? It's still early innings. Most of the data shows, we're only 40 to 50%, depending on the city, in terms of office occupancy versus pre-pandemic levels. So we think this shift is going to be gradual. It's going to really take place over the next couple of years, but it provides us a market that is growing, very, very quickly. And, we're really in a great position because we were able to innovate our way through COVID, come out on the other side in a very strong position. The competitive landscape is very weak. Many companies went out of business, others dramatically, reduced their teams. So we're investing heavily in growth, and we're experiencing, hyper growth right now. So that really kind of points us to where the company is going. It's really about scaling the business to a size and profile that sets us up to be able to go public. And 2024 is our goal. And so we need our product and our technology to continue to support. We acquired a healthy snacks business called NatureBox earlier this year that we are evolving into a really compelling office snacks and pantry solutions, offering. So there's quite a lot of new technology build that we're working on as we continue to expand to more and more cities, and the range of different ways that we can serve our clients with regards to food and snacks and drinks proliferates. It's causing us to build, new ways of interfacing with our clients. So there's a lot of continued innovation, but around kind of the core of the business of office food, of catering, and then now with the NatureBox addition, snacks and drinks as well.
Well, Jeff, let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something that you look up to, and why.
I'd say there's no sort of one person. I try to learn a little bit from every person I come into contact with. One of our core values is being people-centered. And so I think if you really kind of focus on the people, you can learn from everyone. I get a lot of inspiration and guidance from one of our board members, Walter Robb, who's the former co-CEO of Whole Foods. I think a lot of my work ethic, comes from my dad, and look up to him in all kinds of different ways. So I'd say it's really a mosaic of different people that I leverage as opposed to just one. But always trying to improve and I think with that growth mindset, it's good for me and try to sort of encourage that across our team as well. That we always want to be learning and growing and developing. We have a viewpoint here. It's okay to fail. It's okay to if something messes up. We just want to make sure we take the time to do a postmortem, understand what went wrong. How do we make sure it doesn't happen again, right? So it's okay to make a mistake. Let's just not make it more than once. And so I think if you can kind of follow that kind of growth mindset, good things will happen over time.
Okay, if you could go back to the beginning, what would you do different with Hungry or tryhungry.com? Or where would you consider taking a different approach?
I think there's been, a variety of tactical things. Like I said, I wish we would have invested in product sooner. There's some people decisions that I think we would have done differently. If I could wave a magic wand, it would be that COVID never arrived, because it definitely took our business into some different directions. That said, I do think we're coming out, better and stronger than before. I think at the core, I like what we have done. I like the trajectory that we're on, and I think it's okay, that you make mistakes along the way. Again, you just need to learn from them quickly. So I'd say those are some of the things that come to mind.
Well, last question, Jeff. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world. Can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit several times?
I love helping other entrepreneurs. I think we all have to, help each other and stick together, because it's a really hard road. The first is I'd encourage him to share. I think sometimes first-time entrepreneurs get worried about sharing their idea with others because they're worried, someone's going to steal it and take it and go do it themselves. In my experience, it's extremely unlikely. And, the more you share with others, the more feedback you get, the more you're essentially market testing it, right? You're getting, perspective from others that's going to help you, push your thinking. I'd also say that, what I've learned over 4 different startups is just how important, team and culture is. My first startup, it was myself and a co-founder, it was just kind of like, go, let's build. Never really thought about team and culture. Every company has a culture just by default, but the more intentional you can be, I think the more you can really inspire, the team, the more productive people can be, the better they can work together. It's actually like some of those softer skills, around people and team that I think many times we overlook. I think we don't really, learn very well in school. You kind of have to be doing it to learn it. But being as intentional as you can around the people that you hire, especially in the early days, and the kind of environment that you're fostering, I think is key. Last, I'd say is for an entrepreneur is just to be really customer centric. Don't fall in love with your idea so much that you aren't willing to change it, right? So you got to listen to the market. You got to listen to your customers. You got to be willing to evolve. That was, I think, a huge mistake of mine in my second company, where I think we were so wedded to our idea, we were unwilling to really clearly hear, what the market was telling us and to pivot and change. And I think we waited too long in some ways to do that. So being committed to what you're trying to achieve, kind of the bigger vision, but not being so inflexible with how you're going to get there, I think is the strange paradox, right? Like you need to be able to be persistent and sort of push through during difficult times, but you also need this flexibility to the how you're going to get there. And I think that's sometimes a difficult, balancing act for entrepreneurs.
All great pieces of advice. Well, Jeff, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of Hungry.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And if anyone would like to learn more about Hungry, you can visit us at tryhungry.com, TRY, hungry.com. Thank you.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Now Taxes is 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you didn't file with us last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just do your own taxes in the app by 2/18.
What if I have lots of forms?
All good, all 100% free.
What if I had 3 jobs?
Still 100% free.
What if I once saw Bigfoot?
That has nothing to do with taxes, so still 100% free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now this is taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live, must start and file in app by 2/18.